Picture it, the year is 1991. In our world, Eritrean fighters proudly marched into Asmara, raising their flag after decades of relentless guerrilla struggle. It was a moment filled with hope as Mengistu's Ethiopian regime crumbled, but let's take a twist here. Ethiopian forces, armed to the teeth with Soviet weapons and backed by Cuban advisors, crushed the EPLF and EPLF in the late 1980s. Can you imagine the heartbreak? The Eritrean dream just fizzled out? Ethiopia held on to the coast, and Eritrea never got its shot at independence. It's wild to think how close they came, only to see it slip away, right? The shock is instant. In Asmara, rebel commanders captured, paraded in chains. Villages that once cheered fighters now fear reprisals. Ethiopian generals declare the coast is secure forever. Eritrean refugees, once hopeful, stream into Sudan and Europe, exiles for life. Addis Ababa celebrates victory, claiming Ethiopia's unity preserved. Zoom in one last time, an old fighter in a refugee camp, weathered but wise, tells the youth, "We tried, we failed, but never forget our struggle." Meanwhile, a child in Addis Ababa flips through a textbook that reads, "Eritrea was always Ethiopia," highlighting a painful history. A passionate young Eritrean woman in Germany campaigns fiercely for the recognition of those erased from history, fighting for their stories to be heard. Back in Asmara, a grandmother gazes longingly at the sea, whispering softly, "It should have been ours," her heart heavy with dreams of what could have been. This tapestry of voices weaves a narrative of resilience and loss, echoing the longing for identity and belonging. Meanwhile, an Ethiopian colonel, medals gleaming proudly on his chest, sits with his family, declaring, "The Red Sea remains ours." It's a bold statement that echoes the pride and tension of a complex history. In Asmara, a child grows up in a school where Amharic is the language of instruction, while Tigrinya and Arabic, the very roots of his heritage, are pushed aside. This shift not only erases his cultural identity, but also shapes the future of generations to come. The weight of these experiences is heavy, and they paint a vivid picture of the ongoing struggles for identity and survival in this region. What a tangled web of loss and resilience, right? Culturally, loss reshapes identity. Eritrean traditions, languages, music, poetry suppressed under Ethiopian assimilation. Orthodox churches placed under Addis control, Muslim communities monitored, festivals muted, memories whispered. Instead of state pride, Eritrean culture survives underground in exiled communities abroad. Religion bends too. Christianity and Islam, once twin pillars of Eritrean identity, both pressured under Ethiopian rule. Priests monitored, imams silenced. Faith becomes underground resistance. Exodus parallels grow Eritreans seeing themselves as Israelites trapped under Pharaoh's rule. Zoom again, a priest in Asmara preaches coded sermons of liberation. A Muslim elder whispers prayers for freedom at night. A poet in exile in Khartoum writes verses smuggled back into Eritrea. A child hides cassette tapes of banned Tigrinya songs, dreaming of homeland unchained. Globally, the ripple is vast. If Eritrea never independent, Ethiopia commands full Red Sea coast Asab, Massawa, all under Addis, the Horn's geopolitics change. Landlocked Ethiopia, in our world crippled by loss of sea, here thrives with ports. Trade routes flourish, economy stronger, Somalia weaker by comparison, Sudan boxed in. For Africa, Eritrea's loss signals danger. Other secessionist movements from Biafra to Kabindisi warning, if Eritrea failed, so will we. African Union doubles down on sanctity of colonial borders. Secession becomes unthinkable, Africa less flexible, more rigid. For Cold War, outcome strengthens Soviets. In our world, Eritrea's wing coincided with collapse of Soviet-backed Mengistu. Here, Ethiopia stays loyal client, Red Sea ports hosting Soviet Navy, U.S. forced to rely more on Djibouti and Kenya losing leverage, Horn becomes firmer Soviet zone. Economically, Ethiopia stronger. Oil shipments pass through Asab, minerals through Massawa, coffee exports flow faster. By 1990s, Ethiopia is not fragile giant but rising power. Eritrea, its people exiled, becomes global diaspora sending remittances, keeping memory alive but homeland silent. By 2000, ripple deepens. Ethiopia, with coast, industrializes faster. Addis emerges as continental power, rivaling Nigeria and South Africa. AU headquarters in Addis stronger with Ethiopia secure. Somalia collapses in 1991 still, but Ethiopia dominates region more confidently. Zoom once more. An Ethiopian businessman ships goods from Asab to Middle East, proud of empire's reach. An Eritrean exile in London protests outside embassies, waving flag never recognized. A Sudanese trader complains Ethiopia controls every road and port. A U.S. diplomat warns, Horn is Ethiopian lake. World politics shift without Eritrea, Red Sea balance different. Ethiopia rivals Egypt for influence, controlling routes to Suez. Israel loses discreet ally in Eritrea, must rely more on naval power. Gulf states cozy with Addis, fearing choke points. Eritrea's absence reshapes entire corridor. By 2010, Ethiopia's dominance hardens. With Red Sea access, population growth, and strong army, it becomes African colossus. Neighboring states resent dependence, Djibouti marginal, Sudan pressured, Kenya cautious. But no rival stops it. For Eritreans, tragedy. No flag, no nation, no pride. Identity survives in songs of diaspora, whispered tales of homeland that never was. Generations grow exiled, stateless, bitter. Asmara, once jewel, becomes provincial city, heritage decayed, dreams deferred. Zoom in one last time, an old fighter in a refugee camp weathered. But wise tells the youth, we tried, we failed, but never forget our struggle. Meanwhile, a child in Addis Ababa flips through a textbook that reads, Eritrea was always Ethiopia, highlighting a painful history. A passionate young Eritrean woman in Germany campaigns fiercely for the recognition of those erased from history, fighting for their stories to be heard. Back in Asmara, a grandmother gazes longingly at the sea, whispering softly, it should have been ours, her heart heavy with dreams of what could have been. This tapestry of voices weaves a narrative of resilience and loss, echoing the longing for identity and belonging. By late 20th century, Africa is transformed. Ethiopia, stronger, shapes continent more. Secessionist dreams crushed, African Union more rigid. Cold War balance tilted, Red Sea geopolitics shifted. For Eritrea, history erased. Would this world be better? For Ethiopia, perhaps stronger, richer, prouder. For Africa, mixed unity preserved, but flexibility lost. For Eritreans, tragedy beyond measure, identity denied, nation unborn. In our history, Eritrean War of Independence succeeded, giving people flag, pride, and scars of long struggle. But had it lost, Horn might stand today dominated by Ethiopia, while one nation remained forever unborn. So, what do you think? Could Eritrea ever have been crushed permanently, or would its people always rise again? Drop your thoughts below and subscribe to Sheriff Reactions. Hit the bell for daily flips, where we explore not just what happened, but what might have been.